Mike Mitchell, we are on live. What's going on, my man?
How you doing? Thank you for having me back.
Oh man, it's a fantastic day. It is Monday. It is a victory Monday for a lot of Cowboy fans out there. Typically at this point, we have a 2 minute intro, so we're going to kind of just glide along the way for a little bit, let things go, and let things hit the airwaves. The alert just hit my phone right now, so I know that we're on right now. So we're going to give us about a minute or two before we get going, but just let people know we're talking about the Cowboys' big victory over the weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. Spurs fall to the Suns yet again. For some reason, that division that the Spurs play against, they can't win. They're like undefeated against every other division except for that one. So we'll get into that a little bit, but we have a lot to get into today. Hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving, man? You gonna stay in town?
Staying in town for Thanksgiving. We're going over to the in-laws there. They're cooking, saving me the hassle of having to deal with the fried turkey this year, so I'm appreciating that.
Nice. Okay, remember, you're gonna thaw that sucker out, man. You see those videos, right, of people exploding the turkey. That's funny, man. It's always the San Antonio Fire Department that has to post that video to go on the news and say, "Don't do that," because
Yeah.
some dummy will do that. It's funny because I'm over here. My wife is Native American, so let's just say that they don't celebrate Thanksgiving very much,
Mm,
right? But
mm.
it's a family event, so we all get together on Wednesday. I'm in charge, and they've decided that we're not going to do a traditional Thanksgiving dinner when it comes to like the turkey and the stuffing and all that stuff. So what we're doing is I'm grilling steaks, and they're making enchiladas. So it's gonna be steaks and enchiladas. It doesn't go, but somehow we're gonna make it pop, make it work.
Listen, I have never had a problem with a steak or an enchilada. This sounds like a new tradition is brewing right there.
There might be a stray tamale along the way, man. So we're excited about that. But no, we'll be doing that in Conroe on Wednesday. Going to be in San Antonio on Thursday with my family. My daughter likes going on a turkey trot. Have you ever done a 5K on a Thanksgiving Day?
That is the least thing that I probably would ever want to do on Thanksgiving. I couldn't even imagine.
Very, very, very cool. Well, we're going to start the show. So normally at this time we have music, right? And then normally at this time we have the song. Since we don't have the song because Joe has given me control of this show today, uh, I'm going to go ahead and just sing it. Area 210, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the rest of the song. We rise together through the highs and the lows. Area 210, oh, it's a life that we chose. And then I come out and I bust out with Happy Monday, everybody. This is Mike Jimenez, joined by Mike Mitchell Jr. You know him, you love him. He's been on our show before. The son of the former Spurs star, Mike Mitchell, my favorite player growing up, no lie, number 34 back in the day. My name is Mike Jimenez. Joe is taking the day off. Before we get the show started, our condolences to Joe Garcia and his family. They had a death in the family over the weekend. And because of that, he cannot be on today's show. But he was kind enough to give me a tutorial today to let me know how to fly the plane, right? But I only have the Neapolitan version of it all. I have the chocolate vanilla strawberry. I don't have all the flavors when it comes to it all. But the fact of the matter is that I have most of what we can do with the show. I have the ability to show the chat. So good morning to Bobby February, and good morning to Tex-Mex Frank and Nesio Drummer and Sam Salinas coming into the show today. We're gonna have a fun show today. Okay, we're gonna get back on track. We're gonna have a fun show talking about sports, the pop culture that we like talking about, and the nostalgia that we like. Mike, someone posted earlier today a video of the movie Superman, and it was this whole scene involving Lois Lane trying to prove that Clint Clark, I guess was his name, was Superman by jumping out of the window, taking that leap of faith, if you will, to see if he'd save her. Right, Mike? I've never seen the movie Superman.
Oh my goodness. There's not a Superman movie that's been made that I have not seen.
Really? Okay, I remember Lois and Clark with Terry Hatcher back in the day, and Dean Cain
Mhm.
back in
Mhm.
the 90s. That was a big thing. But one of the big old things that people don't believe me in is that I didn't watch a lot of movies growing up, right? I just didn't like them. And Superman was one that I had never seen. I saw that whole scene. I retweeted it earlier today at MJ Acquired Taste, and I thought about it. I was like, my goodness, this looks dumb, but it looks dumb in a good way. Is this a movie I should revisit?
I could never turn down saying yes to a Superman movie, and it's kind of hard. You got to hear me out, right? Because we've come a long way with CGI. special effects, different things that they can do on camera. But Superman is such a classic. Christopher Reeve Superman's just I don't know. That's what got me into really watching a whole bunch of movies and different genres of movies. It was just unbelievable for me back in the day, and yeah, I to this day, even when I don't like the actor, if I don't think it's going to be that great, if it's a Superman movie, I have to at least go see
I know. I mean, all my friends were into it growing up, dude. Star Wars, Superman, all of that stuff. Didn't watch any of it growing up. Transformers, didn't watch any of it growing up. The only thing I watched growing up that I do remember is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember going with my friends to the
it.
movies, go watch that one. And I saw the Goonies, I believe. And that's basically it. Sandlot. Saw Sandlot. That was
Big
basically
gulps, big
the
gulps.
extent. But we have a big show today. First and foremost, Cowboys got their victory yesterday against the Eagles. Finally got their statement victory. I got pissed off after the game. Hearing Terry Bradshaw say they finally got their statement victory. They got their big victory finally for the year. I've been saying that for the longest time. They didn't have one, and typically as a Cowboy hater, I rain on their parade. Right. Today, I'm going to try to hold back a little bit because I do understand the importance of beating the Eagles, whether or not they make the playoffs or not. And depending on what aggregator you go to determine the odds of them going into the playoffs. I've seen some saying 9%. I see some saying 20%. Vegas has them as a 16% odds of making the playoffs. I mean, so you're saying there's a chance, a 1 in 6 chance
Mhm.
of making the playoffs. But this was a big victory because not only is it against a divisional rival, it's against a Super Bowl champion. It's against one of your biggest rivals out there, a team that was 8-2, that had been playing with fire for the longest time, that seemed to win every one possession battle. They got that victory finally. We're going to get into that in a moment. That's going to be our big lead today. We'll get into the Spurs loss yesterday. Snapped a 3-game winning streak. They lost to the Phoenix Suns again. So Spurs are now 11-5, but if you look at it, they're 11-1 against teams not named the Suns or the Warriors. It's a
Mhm.
weird stat, but that's what's going on when it comes to it all. We saw a point Sohan yesterday. What was Mitch Johnson doing? I have been a Mitch Johnson defender. But yesterday was the first time I looked at it and I thought to myself, what in the Greg Popovich is he doing out there? And I'm not saying Greg Popovich 2014, 2007, 03, 99, 05. I'm saying Greg Popovich of 2021. What was he doing
Mhm.
out there? UT's hopes of making the playoffs still alive. Still alive. People don't want to hear it, but it's still alive. They have a big matchup the day after Thanksgiving against the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies, who beat the living crap out of Samford over the weekend. That's going to be a big game. Do they belong in the playoff, the Longhorns, if they actually win this game? Maybe even more important, if A&M wins this game, do they belong higher than 3? So we'll get into that. Whatever you guys want to talk about. Again, the chat is on. No Joe today. He's spending time with family. My condolences to his family as well. But we're joined by Mike Mitchell Jr., son of former Spurs great Mike Mitchell. I believe his number belongs on the rafters, dude. I firmly believe that. God, I loved watching your dad play. Over the weekend, by the way, I was in the Woodlands at a Christmas event, right? It was like a Christmas shopping event. There was a, tell me if I should have bought this, Mike. You see these silent auctions, right? And you put your name down thinking that someone else is going to come behind you and outbid you by $10 or whatever the case may be. They had all this sports memorabilia all over the place. But what's weird about it is that there was this one area of the convention center that they had there that was kind of hidden from everybody else. Like the foot traffic didn't go there. Like 90% of the traffic went one way, and there was this one hallway that still had more memorabilia up for grabs that no one had actually looked at signing on. Bid,
Mm.
and it was about 10 minutes to go beforehand, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, I should have bought it. $275 was the opening bid, and I would have won it for an autographed Warren Moon Houston Oilers helmet.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you got to get out there and go ahead. I it's so hilarious that you say that. We actually had some memorabilia from Warren Moon when my dad used to have a golf tournament gala, and it used to go for $2,000, $3,000 anytime he signed anything. Um, the quarterbacks we see in today's game, especially the African American, the black quarterbacks,
Yeah.
we can thank Warren Moon for kind of trailblazing the way for that. So I just, yeah, you probably should have put your name down. 275.
No one
Next
saw
time,
it.
text me. I'll go in half with you.
No one saw it. It was tucked in the corner. No one
Yeah.
saw it. There was no foot traffic over there because the big auditorium was over here, and they had some side tables over here behind all these vendors. And like no
Mm.
one signed it. I could have gotten all this stuff there as the opening bid and won it. But Warren Moon, I've done media for many years. I was in the media for over a decade. The only person I've ever fanboyed in my entire life over was Warren Moon. And I told my wife yesterday what I said to Warren Moon, and it was the most cringiest thing I could have ever have said to him. He asked, I said, man, I was a big Oilers fan growing up. I was like, dude, I said, to this day, it's etched in my memory, your lineup. Like, I can tell you
Mm.
all 22 starters. And he goes, go ahead.
Mm.
And I did.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, yeah, Stepnowski hiking the ball to you. You had Givens, you had Drew Hill, you had Haywood Jeffries and Curtis Duncan on the outside. You had Warren, you had Mike Rozier, Alan Pinkett. You had I named the entire offensive lineman from Bruce Matthews to even the back end. You had Bubba McDowell, Chris Dishman, Sean Jones, Ray Childress. I was naming all the players, and he was like, "Yeah, you were a fan." I think he was a little scared. I mean, it's not like maybe the Spurs 85 roster, right? There's only like 15 players. I named him like
Right.
30 members of the team that I just had off the top of my head. It's etched in my memory, but joined by Mike Mitchell Jr. Let's talk about the Cowboys game yesterday. Cowboys going off down 21-0, looking like the season was circling the drain. They were getting their asses handed to them in
Mm-hmm.
the first and second quarter. It could have been worse than 21-0. It really could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But the Cowboys kept it a 3-score game and just started chipping away. And then the Eagles kept on doing 3-and-outs. And the Cowboys just hung around and took that victory from the Eagles, 24-21. The biggest victory of the year for the Dallas Cowboys, who are now 5-1, and now have there's a faint heartbeat of playoff hopes. Okay, it's not a flat line, but it's a faint heartbeat. What did you think of yesterday's game, and what's your big takeaway from it?
So I'm not the biggest Cowboys fan. Just throwing it out there. I'm also not a hater. I like it when Texas teams do good. Biggest thing that I could take away is this the year that the Eagles' problems kind of catch up with them, or were the additions for the Cowboys that they've made recently are they really paying dividends? The defense looked better, right? It didn't start off the game looking that way, but the defense looks a lot better. But I also wonder kind of what's going on in Philly. You keep hearing things about the troubles with the receivers. I know that their offense, when you have a top five receiver, you have a top five running back. I don't know kind of where you put Jalen Hurts in that category, but he's a winner. And you've got weapons like that. They didn't run the ball very well, right? And when I thought about it after the game, I had to go look up the stats. Saquon didn't even get that many attempts.
No.
When you've got a 21-point lead, you've got to run the ball. I feel like they decided before the game plan, which a lot of coaches do, that they were going to pass it. They're going to try to keep those receivers happy up there. And even as things kind of started to break down, they stayed with it, right? And it seemed like Cowboys made adjustments. The Eagles didn't. So when I look at that game, I knew going in, I was like, okay, if the Cowboys win this one, kind of sets them up. They've got a hard schedule, but it sets them up, gives them momentum. To your point, you beat Super Bowl champion. Can you keep it going? And so I'm looking at it like, if you take them lightly, they're coming, right? You want to be peaking at this time. They've been playing better. So I look at them like, yeah, they have a chance. I hear Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if y'all watch him. I hear him in my head. I also have seen it for myself. They'll get you excited. They'll win all the games that they need to leading up to entering into the playoffs. And then things kind of, so I don't want to put too much into it, but it's definitely a big win.
It is a big win. And I'm trying not to be a hater today. I'm trying to reel it in, and for the most part, I'm going to reel it in. Okay? But guess who predicted that the Cowboys would win this weekend? On
Who's
this
that?
show on Thursday. I did.
Okay.
Okay, I predicted the Cowboys would win this game. I knew they were going to win this game. And one thing you should know about me is that I'm a big Cowboy hater. And one of the things that Cowboy haters do is they jump the gun and they gloat too early on social media. I knew when it was 21-0 not to go on Twitter and go, ha ha ha, you guys suck, all that stuff, because this is the NFL and the NFL is about momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
things change at halftime. Just ask the Atlanta Falcons, who lost that lead in the Super Bowl to the New England
New
Patriots
England
back in the day.
Patriots. Oh, that's my team. You just hurt me.
Okay, there you go. There you go. There's something said about that halftime momentum changing. The fact of the matter is, the Eagles aren't a very good team. I mean,
Mm.
tell you about, they're an above average team. Okay, let me rephrase that, because I don't want to say I'm being hatery for the Cowboys. They're an above average team, but in the Michael Jimenez power rankings, they're not top 5. Okay,
Mm.
and that's not because of yesterday's loss. I thought that beforehand, because they were playing their smoke and mirrors team. Their smoke and mirrors team. They eke out victories like crazy by 3 points, by 2 points, by 3 points, and all that crap comes to an end at some point. At
Mm.
some point, you're going to lose a game like that. I'm going to tell you when the game was lost yesterday. It wasn't when it was 21-0 or 21-7 or 21-14. Two interesting things happened in this game. One was when it was 21-21 and the ball's at the 2-yard line, the Cowboys went for it on 4th down as opposed to trusting their defense and kicking a field goal to go up 24-21. They took points off the board. They completed a pass down to the half-yard line. And I thought to myself, what the Dan Campbell was that? They took points off the board, right? But the most telling thing was Eagles get the ball back. They start driving the ball down the field. They're around the 37, 38-yard line. It is 3rd and 2. There are two things that they could have done if I was Nick Sirianni at that point. Was this: you run Saquon on 3rd down. He
Mhm.
is the best back in the NFL, arguably the best back in the NFL, one of the most dynamic ones out there. You can say Jonathan Taylor, but for my money, dynamic runner, give me Saquon. And let's say he only gets 1 yard. What do you think that next play is going to be on 4th down?
Tush push.
Tush push. Instead, what do? They dropped Jalen Hurts back, and he got his ass sacked. And at that point, I knew the game was over.
Mm.
That game was over. It was like Dan Campbell coaching against Dan Campbell. Okay,
Mhm.
Dan Campbell of the Lions has too much testosterone. He goes for it way too often. He outthinks himself, and when it's a 2-yard pickup, he's throwing 30-yard bombs down the field. You don't need
Mhm.
that to win. All you need to do is just move the chains. And the Eagles didn't do that. And because of that, I don't look at the Eagles as though they're elite. In fact, I would say this: I don't think there's an elite team in the NFL this year.
Mm.
There is not one elite team in the NFL in this year. You might say the Rams, maybe, but this is a game that Cowboy fans should celebrate. They should celebrate because it gets them to 5-5-1. Faint heartbeat of a playoff opportunity there. Go and beat the Chiefs in 4 days, and now we're talking. So
Mm.
now we're talking 6-5-1. Chiefs coming in to Jerry World as 3.5-point favorites. But how big of a victory would that be in the course of 96 hours or 120 hours to beat the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs? What would that mean for the Cowboys franchise, Mike?
Oh, that'd be huge. That'd be huge. I'm sitting here processing your take on not an elite team, and I'm thinking, yeah, the Chiefs don't seem like the Chiefs,
No.
but nobody is betting against them because they've got Patrick Mahomes. And so I'm looking like he's still there, and we saw with them, if you give him a little slither of hope, they can bring it home, right? So beating Eagles, Chiefs back to back weeks, you're looking at essentially the two teams that they're looking at as having dynasty opportunities. Well, you already look at the Chiefs as one, right? But the Eagles are floating right around there, making a couple Super Bowls, winning one here in recent times. That's huge. Confidence in sports can go a long way,
Mm-hmm.
right? You get your whole team believing, buying in. They start thinking, you know what, coach was right. When things weren't looking great, stay the course. We were going to be able to do that. And you get those two teams back to back weeks. that could go a huge way. That could propel you into the final few games of the season, where you're just sitting there believing, truly believing going into the game. It's one thing to look around, guys, and nobody's going to admit it before a game, but it's one thing to look around at your teammates and be like, can we win this game? It's a
Yeah,
whole other thing when you're going in like expecting, like, hey, you see what we just did? We're gonna beat this team.
right. It's funny to talk about the Chiefs and no one's betting against them, as you said. It's very reminiscent to me of those scary movies from the 80s, whether it be Jason or Freddy or whatnot. Just when you think they're dead, they pop up for one more jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
The game Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts, the Colts were up double digits in the fourth quarter. They could have ended that game. I'm shopping for Christmas, but I'm wandering by this hotel bar that has the game on, so I'm peeking my head in, and there was a point in the game, start of the fourth quarter, where Jonathan Taylor's smiling, where they're smiling because he moved the chains, they went up 2 scores, and they looked confident. They looked a little arrogant. Had the Colts held on to that game, they lose in overtime. Had they held on to that game, the Chiefs weren't making the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was time of death, 3:25 p.m. on November 23rd. Their season was done. They would have been
Mm-hmm.
5-6, but there's a big difference between being 6-5 and 5-6. But the weird thing is, Mike, 5-6 or 5-5-1 in the NFC, you have a 9% chance of making the playoffs. 6-5 in the AFC, you have more than a 50% chance of making the playoffs because again, it's all about what's going on with the standings. And here's the thing about the standings for the Cowboys. Not to be a buzzkill, bask in the glory of a big divisional victory over the Super Bowl champs. That's fine. But you look at it this way, a lot of the things that they needed to happen yesterday didn't happen. Detroit, they needed them to lose. They almost did. They won that game. They needed Green Bay to lose. Green Bay won. They needed the Bears to lose. The Bears won. So it's like the Cowboys got that big victory, but didn't move in the standings. They just kept pace.
Mm-hmm.
Is all that it is. Because like they're still the number 10 team in the NFC. They have to leapfrog 3 teams to make it to the playoffs. 2 of those 3 teams they've lost to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an interesting dilemma that the Cowboys are in. Meantime, the Chiefs at 6-5 are sitting there with the Houston Texans chomping at the bit right now. By the way, best part of the week of the week was not the Cowboys' victory. It was Jameis Winston catching a touchdown pass. I don't know if did you see that catch?
I did.
The stiff arm at the 15.
I don't know if they put up who he stiffed arm, but you can't go back. I know Jameis is a big guy, but you can't go back to your sidelines after the quarterback catches it, stiff arms you, and backpedals into the end zone. You can't go back to your sideline with your head up.
And the dance he does with Jackson Dart. I just saw this tweet that said that is quintessentially the Jameis Winston experience. Jameis Winston, the one guy who once threw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in a season. When he throws the ball, it doesn't hit the turf. It's going into somebody's hand. And as a former as a Saints fan, he's a former quarterback of the Saints. I wanted them to unleash him, but they just didn't. They had him so conservative, but he's so fun to watch. He's a fun quarterback to watch. He's not a winner anymore. Back in Florida State, he was a winner, but he doesn't play winning NFL football. But do you know who's playing winning NFL football right now? A quarterback. Think about the stat. Last 8 games. What if I told you there was a quarterback who has thrown 25 touchdowns in the last 8 games to 0 interceptions?
I can only think of one.
Who would that be?
Stafford.
Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford having an epic run right now. Look! I'm looking at his stats right here. The last 8 games, he threw for 3 yesterday against Tampa Bay, 2 against Seattle, 4 against San Francisco, 4 against the Saints, 5 against Jacksonville, 1 against Baltimore, 3 against San Francisco, 3 against Indy, and in that span, 0 interceptions. We are looking at the MVP. Matt Stafford's going to be the MVP this year by far. And by the way, because the Eagles lost to the Cowboys, now the number 1 seed in the NFC, they control their destiny to make their way. It could run through LA, it could run through SoFi. Cowboys got that win earlier in the week. The Texans got their win to keep pace with things, and the Texans are now 6-5, and the Texans beat up a Buffalo Bills team that they just went after Josh Allen, and
Hmm.
Josh Allen seemed poised to win that game at the end. Like we always say, the script says this is going to happen. The
Hmm.
Texans, though, I mean, they are hanging around. It's fun to watch right now. Looking at the standings right now, if the playoffs started right now, if the playoffs are right now in the AFC, New England would have a bye. Denver, as a 2 seed, would host Buffalo. What a great matchup for a wild card game. Indy would host Jacksonville, and Baltimore, who started the season 1-5 and has won 5 in a row, is now in first place because Pittsburgh lost. They would host the LA Chargers. On the outside looking in, you have 3 teams at 6-5 at seeds 8, 9, and 10. Pittsburgh at 8, Houston at 9, Kansas City at 10. In the NFC, the Rams would be the number 1 seed. And then you'd have the Eagles hosting the Niners. You'd have the Bears. The Bears as the 3 seed right now. Who would have thought?
Mm.
Would host Green Bay. And Green Bay owns them. And then the 4-5 matchup, you'd have Seattle on the road against Tampa Bay. On the outside looking in, look at this, man. This is why it's difficult for the Cowboys to make the playoffs. Cowboys are 5-5-1 at the 10 seed. It's because the 7 seed is 7-4. It's
Hmm.
because the 8 seed is 7-4, and because the 9 seed is 6-5, and they beat the Cowboys. Again, I guess the heartbeat's still alive, right? You win out, you go 10-5-1, you have a chance. But if the Cowboys lose one more game, okay, little bunny foo-foo style, one more chance, poof, it's gone.
Hmm.
They gotta run the table. But the table's not as hard anymore because the Chiefs are not as good anymore. The Vikings, JJ McCarthy sucks. The
Hmm.
Lions, they screw things up a lot. I'm just saying that what will look like a gauntlet earlier is still a gauntlet. It's just not as precise as it used to be. Are you giving the Cowboys any heartbeat, any hope of making the playoffs, or are they those chances dashed in your mind?
I'm giving that heart is still beating. You can still hear it, right? Because of the reasons you just listed. I wonder if the Vikings aren't kicking themselves for letting. Now, I know that Sam Darnold in the
Sam Darnold,
playoffs,
yeah.
but I wonder because the amount of weapons they have, and to think of that team not throwing for 300 yards every game is just incredible. I mean, I look at Flacco and what he's doing down there this week isn't a great example, but he wasn't feeling his best as well. When you look at the weapons he has down there with those receivers, Higgins and Chase, and then you
Yeah.
turn around and you see Addison, who was suspended earlier, and you see Jefferson. I mean, they should be something similar, right? And those guys just aren't getting the opportunity. And half of the time, the ball is not. Have you watched that team? The ball is not even
Dude,
close.
I saw this TikTok where they were trying to rank the 10 worst throws of the week last week, and 9 of them were JJ McCarthy.
It's incredible. And I'm trying to cut him some slack, right? Because he missed a lot of time, development time, and he's coming out there, and a lot is expected with that team doing good. And sometimes when you're at that pivotal position, when you're at that quarterback position, you're putting even more, and you're going to hear about it. Other guys can hide sometimes when they're not playing well. You're going to hear about it at the quarterback spot. But I'm just like, man, that team has a lot of weapons, or for them not to be for the quarterback to be letting them down, in my estimation right now. And like I said, they're still winning football games. But do I trust them? Do I think that they're a better team than the Cowboys right now? I don't.
No.
I don't. I trust Dak more. I trust him using those weapons more. And now I'm starting to believe in that defense a little bit better. But you just listed all the points. When you look at that schedule and you think about who's up there, I still am not ready to say yes. Coaching plays into it with the Lions a little bit, but I mean Gibbs is just different,
Oh, he
and
had a
and,
huge
and
week.
he's just different. And for me, I'm still wondering. He's already shown that he can be the featured back. I'm wondering sometimes if they're not trying too much to get David Montgomery in there because he's shown that he's an elite rusher when given the opportunity. But that team just has so much going for them offensively, and I think their team defensively has that bend but don't break kind of mentality.
Mm.
They know they're going to give up some points because their offense scores too quickly, right? Your defense is going to have to be on the field too much. As long as you're making some stops here, there, as long as you're making them work on third down here or there, in the fourth quarter, your team's going to win out. So for me, I'm looking at them like that right there, and that the belief in themselves is there, right? Their head coach, for better or for worse, he's got it to where those guys know he's going to go for it. He's going to put the ball in your hands. He's going to say spin it if you're the quarterback.
The
So
guy,
that team,
the
they believe.
yeah, I'm sorry, but Dan Campbell looks and coaches like he's taking 10 Viagra, you know, just shooting up creatine and just taking steroids before each game. He's a meathead, dude. He's a complete meathead. You mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries for 219 yards yesterday, 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Goodness.
Also received, he caught 11 passes. 11 passes. I know only for 45 yards, but also one was a touchdown. Sean Quintero has a question for us on our chat, which is powered by P.F. Chang's La Cantera. Are we going to discuss CeeDee Lamb not being able to catch the damn ball? Keeps hurting us on third downs. We saw that in the fourth quarter when it looked like the Cowboys were going to lose that game. It was tied 21-21. There was a pass in the end zone before the fourth down play, which
Mhm.
it just went through his arms, right? He's on the sidelines complaining about it, basically saying that was not his fault, that it was Dak's fault. He was basically saying up here. He kept like us saying, like, my hands are right here. Why are you throwing it at my crotch?
Mhm.
2 questions for you. Is there a CeeDee Lamb issue that you see out there? And the second thing is the alpha receiver really George Pickens as opposed to CeeDee Lamb? I mean, CeeDee Lamb is allegedly the wide receiver 1, but if you were the Kansas City Chiefs defense and you had to stop one of the receivers, wouldn't you let CD go off instead of and maybe try to clamp down on George Pickens?
So I'm never gonna say you let CeeDee Lamb go, because CeeDee Lamb will go to the tune of 8 catches for 200 yards and 2 scores. He's shown that he can do that in the league already. But there is something there to him and big time catches and big time drops, right?
Yeah.
Drops are never a good thing at the receiver spot, but also when you drop the ball. If you're looking at CeeDee Lamb, he's dropped some touchdowns in crucial moments or some big first downs in crucial moments, right? And that's not what you want to see out of your you know wide receiver 1. You don't want to see that out of any of your receivers, but definitely your featured receiver. And Pickens is on a prove it year. Let's like call it what it is. He it's never been about his skills. It's more been about his attitude towards the game and then off the field. I haven't heard much about off the field stuff with him being down in Dallas, although we all know that Dallas is, if you have some off the field stuff that you want to get into, Dallas is the place to go. Um, but he is showing up tremendously, and more importantly, he's showing himself reliable in those times. And as a quarterback, you look across and you think, hey, I've got one of the best top 3 receivers in the league on one side. That's what people said coming into the season. And I've got another guy who was, you know, a number 1 wide receiver for several years. And that was the question: how is he going to fit in? And he's showing himself that I look at it like you have 1A, 1B. Right now, Pickens is playing like 1A. I can't take it from him, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You just got to get on page. Dak's got to pull CD aside and say, "Hey, listen, you're the wide receiver 1. Financially, we've invested in you. Let's get on the same page." And some of that nice coddling stuff that receivers need to hear. And then you let the coach tell him, "Hey, man, catch the ball. We have to have you catch the ball." Fortunately, I played a little bit of high school wide receiver. If it hits you anywhere in your catch radius, you got to come up with it.
That's
Whether
the
it's
thing.
low, whether it's high, come up with the ball.
I
Right
mean,
now,
it wasn't at his ankles. I mean, literally, it was
exactly.
crotch high. I mean, you can catch that. It wasn't like at your toes. Not at all. So everyone, Tex-Mex Frank, thank you so much for the post over here, saying the play of the week was Dallas Cowboys special teams player Elisha Clark getting knocked down multiple times, causing a fumble, gave the
Mm.
Cowboys huge momentum. That happened in the fourth quarter. Cowboys didn't score on that drive, but I guess you can say that it was kind of a microcosm of things to come. It was like a prelude of things to come, rather. Um, a lot of times people were saying that this is something that high school coaches should show. I've been seeing posts like that. High school coaches should show this particular effort and all that stuff. Was it a great player? A great play? Yeah, it was. But when I saw that play, guess what I thought, Mike? That's literally what he gets paid to do. I mean, was it a good play? Yeah. There are a lot of good plays in football. That is literally his job. He's a special teams player. That is what he practices for. That's like the only time he's on the field half the time is that type of play. I mean, not to take away from it, it was a great play, but it's
Listen,
literally your job.
I'm gonna sound like the old guy that's complaining while he's watching kids on the lawn. Players, we have come so accustomed to videos of players not giving 100% that when you see a player out there doing their job, going 100%, we reward them. And I kind of understand it. That's the sad part. How many times a year do you think you turn on the TV and you see a receiver stopping on the route? Or you see a guy get knocked out of bounds, and it's clear as day in football. If you get knocked out of bounds, you can get right back up and get in the play. And they will run 20 yards out of bounds and act like, they get stuck behind the players. Too many times you see videos of guys that are just not in any sport. They're just not going full out. They're stopping short. They're not playing defense. So yeah, it's sad, but it is what it is. And I'm almost in agreement with everybody else. Yeah, you got to show it to young kids and teach them like this is the way that it used to just be done, but this is the way that I want you playing football. You have to take those wins when you can. Yeah, reward the guy for doing his job.
I mean, it was a great play. It was a great play and all that stuff. But let's not make it sound like he did that for free. I mean, that's
Mm,
his job. That's his livelihood. That's how he feeds his family. That's how he
mhm.
pays the bills, is to do all that. Lots of questions coming in that we have on here that I find to be interesting. Let's see here. I just overlooked one right now, saying that the Giants choked again when they
Mm.
when they lost the Lions. The Lions,
If
all
you're a Giants fan, though, you want them to lose that. I mean, if you're a New York
mhm.
fan, you want them to lose that game. As good as they were playing, you want them to lose that game so that they can stay in the bottom. They can have a higher draft pick.
Here's what I want to ask you. Mario Cavazos coming out saying Shadur Sanders for the win. Haters, he says. Baha, Saints still want him. Okay. If they wanted him, they would have drafted him in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, or fifth round, but they didn't. Fell to the Cleveland Browns, who I think they moved up to get Shadur Sanders in the fifth round, which was a little bit
Mhm.
weird, considering that they'd already drafted Dylan Gabriel earlier in the draft. Shadur Sanders has been an interesting thing. Okay, so let's backtrack here about Shadur Sanders. I am neither a Shadur Sanders fan or a hater. Okay. I think that there's way too much fandom for him, and I think there's way too much hate towards him. So people ask the question, why did he fall in the draft? Is it because of talent or is it because of personality? And reports have come out that it was about his personality, that it seemed as though he was unprepared for meetings with top brass and he seemed to be arrogant. And why did Jackson Dart get drafted by the Giants? Have you watched the John Gruden's quarterback show on ESPN, where they show him like with the surveillance video of what's going on, the hidden cameras and all that stuff? He dazzled about like how smart he was when it comes to like reading defenses, when it comes to this and the other, and he was prepared. It was a job interview. And Shadur Sanders, who's the son of Deion Sanders, one of the all-time greats, didn't have that background. He grew up in privilege. And apparently he came off that way and he didn't do it. But then you turn back on the fact that the Browns draft him and they had Dylan Gabriel ahead of him. And with all these injuries, they had Shadur on the practice squad. They had him playing with the third string, never with the starters. And Shadur Sanders goes out there and gets a victory yesterday. And people are now complaining about his post-game interview. Did you see his post-game interview, Mike? He came
I
out
didn't
and
see it.
he said, "Yeah, I had a good game today. Imagine if I had a whole off season to practice."
Mm,
And the way that he said it was kind of like, "Imagine if I had the whole season off season to practice."
mm.
It was kind of like an FU. And I took it as an FU to the Browns brass. Your thoughts on Shadur Sanders and him getting the victory, and also the journey that he's been through ever since he left Colorado?
So, watched them a lot at Colorado. Sidebar: I already mentioned that Falcons are my team, so for a long time, Prime is all I had, right? His father. I couldn't say we had a good team. I was like, but we've got the best cornerback in the league. Eventually became the best cornerback ever, right? He's always had that persona, and it is like he created a persona intentionally. Um, um, Call it what it was. People weren't looking at the cornerback as a needed and invested position, and he helped change that, right? And he knew he had to be more than just a game to be able to do it. Do I see some of that in his son? 1000%, right? It's one thing when you climb the mountain and you're sitting on top to have that, and it's another thing when you're still climbing. But make no bones about it. If you're playing quarterback at the college D1 level and above, you have a little bit of something to you. You've got a little bit more than confidence, right? You got a little cockiness to you.
Yeah.
You can't play that position and not. Some guys are just better at hiding it, and Shedeur is not going to hide it. He's not going to hide it.
And I'm going to say that there's a little bit of a racial component to it. I'll say it. I don't want to let you say it. I'll say it, okay? Because if Jackson Dart said exactly what Shedeur said, no one would give two craps, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But guess who else is arrogant? Jackson Dart's arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield's arrogant. Aaron Rodgers is arrogant.
Might be one of the most arrogant.
Yeah, there's a lot of arrogant quarterbacks out there. So there's that. You know who else is arrogant? Apparently I am, because I tried singing earlier today. Thank you for the super chat. Sam Salinas saying, don't ever sing again, Mike. I'm going to learn the lyrics in case Joe's not here. People are asking the question. I know Hanover Fist asked the question, where is Joe? Joe is out. So Spernandez is working. He's back. The government shutdown's over. He's at work, right? But asking, where is Joe? Joe had a death in the family last night, and he gave me the control of the show. It's built in a certain way at his studio to work a certain way. Whenever I'm doing it, and he gave me a tutorial this morning right before the show started as to how to run this whole thing. I don't have all the bells and whistles, so I don't have the music. But you know what I do have? Do you know what I do have? I have access to the gritos. So this is in honor of the Dallas Cowboys getting that victory over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Por presumir a mis amigos les conté que en el amor.
Victory grito for Dallas Cowboy fans out there. Rafa is saying the Giants fired their defensive coordinator this morning. I haven't seen that yet, but I mean, that is to be expected. Dude, there's something to be said about bad teams when it comes to coaching and when it comes to their culture. The Browns, the Jets, the Giants just can't figure it out. And it's decades. It's finally the Bears are 8-3. Finally, the Bears have figured it out. They figured Caleb Williams is not that good. He's all right. But you know what we got to do? Give him everything in the world in front of him. Give him 2 good running backs. Give him about 3 good receivers and a tight end and a solid offensive line to the point where he cannot fail. It's just he's in the position where any quarterback, even JJ McCarthy, would succeed in that offense right now. But we'll talk more about the NFL a little bit later. Let's talk about the Spurs last night. Spurs lose to the Phoenix Suns. Spurs were up at halftime, dropped another bad third quarter. And I will say this. I know there was no Victor Wembanyama. There was no Dylan Harper. There was no Stephon Castle. I get that. You're not going to win a lot of games that way when 3 of your 4 best players are gone. Got it. But Spurs had won back-to-back games without them. And they played a Phoenix team that was also missing some players. A Phoenix team that seemed ripe for the taking. But it was also a Phoenix team that refused to turn over the ball. It wasn't that the Spurs had a lot of turnovers. It was that Phoenix never turned over the ball. And you can get away with the fact that they were an awful shooting team the first half. But if you don't give up any turnovers and no points off of turnovers, and the other team just gets 6, 7, 8, or 9 in the first half, it means something. When the turnover disparity is 9-1 or whatever it was at the end of the first half, it means something. This was an ugly game, Mike. This was probably the ugliest game. And I will say this, it was the worst coach game by Mitch Johnson this year. We saw the return of Point Sohan. and I almost threw up. Okay. Jeremy Sohan is not a point guard, should never be bringing the ball up. And at the end of the day, there are two players right now that I think are circling the drain for Spurs fans right now. Devin Vassell. My God, that shot looks ugly. Like there's no form to it anymore. It's like he wants it to be a difficult shot. And the second thing is Jeremy Sohan, who started the year off hot when it came to shooting, but has now cooled down. Remember, he was at 53% three-pointers early in the season. He's back down to 36, which is still a good percentage, but guess what? He's 2 misses away from being under 30. So you look at the Spurs, actually 4 away from being under 30, but little exaggeration there. Now I think about it in my head. But you look at the Spurs right now, I don't think they have any idea how to use Jeremy Sohan at all. I don't think they know how to use him. I don't think he fits the team. And on top of that, his defense kind of overrated. He's not Dennis Rodman. He's not Draymond Green. He's a slightly above average defender. He's a good defender from time to time. So above average, sometimes good. But his offensive deficiencies just make it so hard to watch. Cinder block hands. You try to pass the ball down to him with any zip to it, he ain't gonna catch it. He ain't gonna catch it. He dribbles it off his leg a lot. He traveled a couple of times. He had one good drive yesterday where he did a drop step drive. It was kind of a weird, awkward thing. Am I too hard on Jeremy Sohan, or is Jeremy Sohan looking like, yeah, he's just not it, man?
So I'd say only that I would give him good defender versus slightly above average. And you said from time to time good. But yeah, I think I don't know if he watches the podcast, but he came out shooting. And I remember saying before the season that I didn't think he was a good shooter. And he came out scorching from 3. I was like, okay, well, he's making us eat his words. He put in some work over the summer. You could tell a little bit, but as time goes on, guys are kind of settle into who they are, and that's been his problem the whole time. You don't really know where to play him, right? And then as guys on the team are getting better and establishing themselves in positions, it kind of leaves it to like, okay, we've got him here. We said he's a starter to 6-man-ish type player. We've been telling him that for years. Now we don't know what to do with him. And I look at that team, and you brought it up one of the first times we talked. They've got a lot of players that they're going to have a hard time finding minutes for. And do you give up on that experiment? I thought that we would never have to see the point forward from him again. I was with you. I feel like we're repeating the stuff that we said at the beginning of the season. He gave us like a little spurt where when he first came back it was a little bit different. But yeah, that's not anything that I want to see out of him running the point. It's not effective for him, but you can also tell Lowell's offense it's not effective for the team when he's running point. And yeah, I have a hard time seeing this team be able to continue to be successful with him at that position, or even when he comes in at certain points. I do think that having somebody that you can bring off the bench that can cover your shooting guard, your small forward, and the forward. One, I don't know if you want to play him offensively at the point, but sometimes he can even cover your point guard, right? So you can cover 1 sometimes through 4, but definitely that 2 through 4 spot. With the mindset that the Spurs like, you always like a guy like that, but does it make up for what he lacks offensively? Offensively, what is he, about 6'7", 6'8",
Yeah.
maybe? And I think he's best when he's rolling to the basket, to your point, and you hand feed him. I think that's when he's at his best, or when the whole defense collapses and he can get that open shot. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I honestly don't.
Jeremy Sohan, just 22 years old, a restricted free agent at the end of this season, which means that the Spurs can match any offer that he gets out there in the open market. He's listed at 6'8", which means he's 6'6.5". Because they always exaggerate a little bit. Unless it's Wemby, then they lowered by a couple of inches. Jordan Schneider reaches out to us and says, Sohan doesn't fit. We have defenders that defend better and bigs that rebound and screen better. I mean, that's what we see. And it's so funny about what we see when it comes to the Spurs team, because they miss certain players. Like Luke Cornett without Stephon Castle is not the Luke Cornett that we fell in love with the
Mhm.
first couple of weeks of the season. Key and Castle, they got it, right?
Mhm.
Dylan Harper and Wemby have a thing going on where they know where
Mhm.
each other are going. So without when Harper went down with the injury before Wemby's numbers went down. And
Mhm.
it wasn't because Fox joined the team, because Harper wasn't there. Harper knew how to get him the ball at his spots and in rhythm. Then you take a look at the other injury of Stephon Castle. That's a big thing because not only do you miss him offensively, but you miss him defensively as well. This is a guy who had back 4 games in a row with double-digit assists. Now, I know we look at the box score and we think to ourselves, well, De'Aaron Fox must have had a good game. Would Fox have like 26 points? 33 minutes? I didn't even know he was on the court.
Mhm.
Like, he had the quietest 26 points I've ever seen in my entire life because 14 of those points came from the free throw line.
Mhm.
He did absolutely nothing on the field other than get fouled. And he didn't get anybody else involved. And I'm looking at it he had 3 assists. Okay, if there's no Castle and there's no Harper, you cannot have De'Aaron Fox going out there with 3 assists. Okay, what's more important, 26 points, 3 assists, or 18 and 12?
Mhm.
Give me 18 and 12 all day, every day. The point forward aspect of Jeremy Sohan that they did yesterday, it reeked. And
Mhm.
I feel bad for Jeremy Sohan in the sense that I think the Spurs and Pop stunted his growth by that whole point forward experiment. And Mike, you played ball. Your dad played ball for many years. You've been around basketball courts your entire life. I've had this belief that I want you to either confirm or shoot down. I believe that you can only get incrementally better in the pros when it comes to certain aspect of things. I used the phrase last week. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie She's Out of My League, where the guy says you can only date 2 points above you. So if you're a 6, you can get an 8. But if you go beyond a 2, it's too far of a chasm, right? I believe that when it comes to certain skill sets, you can go up 2 points in the league. You can go from a 4 shooter to a 6. You're not going to go from a 4 to a 10, right? You're not going to go from Jeremy Sohan to Steph Curry. Okay? I believe if when it comes to ball handling, you can go from a 5 to a 7. You can go from a 6 to an 8. You can go from a 3 to a 5. I believe you have 2 spots that you could move up, right? The problem is that Spurs fans are familiar with Kawhi Leonard, who was the only person ever to jump like 4 spots, right? And my belief in that, Mike, is because I believe that people who handle the ball handled it in elementary school, they handled it in middle school, they handled it in AAU, they handled it in high school and in college or in Europe, and that's just who they are. The ball in their hand is like it's a religious experience for them. They know how to do it. And shooters shoot,
Mhm.
and defenders defend, right? Am I wrong in saying that you cannot learn an elite skill set that is contrary to what your upbringing was? Am I off base?
You're not far off base, right? You got to think during the season, you're playing games, you're barely practicing. When the season ends, you got to take some time to just let your body heal, right? Get over the gruel. 82 plus 82 games, that is difficult on the body. So you're taking some time. Then when you get back in the gym, you're just making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. You're getting cleared by the medical team, and then you start working on your game. And when you're working on your game, you've got a couple months to make those improvements. And to your point, when you've taken off some time, now you're just out there kind of doing your thing, getting your shots up, making sure the skill set that you have is maintained. Then you're adding. It takes a lot at that level. Everybody is good. The last person on the
Mm-hmm.
bench is very good, right? So when you're at that level, to jump to the next category, to jump to the next realm, whatever that is, your passing, your ball handling, you're putting in a ton of effort, and you're going to see a little bit of return, right? When you start getting to that level, does it mean that that's not worth it? Oh, it's absolutely worth it, right? That's the difference in maybe getting around that defender. That's the difference in shooting 45%, shooting 47%, right? In the big scheme of things, though, is that a huge difference? Are you paying guys differently that are scoring 20 points a game, but you're shooting 45 versus 47%? No, they're both going to be getting 30 to 50 million in today's NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very, very tough to jump. And you're right. When you start thinking about it, the only other instances I can think are guys that are super talented that are just sitting on the depth charts and not getting a chance. So you're sitting behind LeBron and you get traded or you get drafted. You're not getting a chance to show what you can really do,
Right.
right? So you might have a higher skill level than people know. And you get to a bad team or you get to a mid-level team, you get off from behind LeBron, you're getting a chance to show it. Typically, if you look at guys that do better, now that's not to say you can't have a fabulous game. If you're not a great 3-point shooter, you can have a game where you hit 8, 9 threes, you get hot, right? Because you're a scorer. But that doesn't mean, to your point, now all of a sudden you're going to be taking 5, 6 a game because you're Steph Curry, or making 5, 6 a game because you're Steph Curry. It's important to keep trying to maintain the game, but yeah, you can only get so much better as you progress. That's why when guys do stuff and you can see like a Wemby, he's still got a lot in the tank that he's not showing yet, that he can't show on a consistent basis. That's why he's just so much better than the next guy coming up.
And one thing we know is that role players play better at home than they do on the
Mm-hmm.
road. There's just something about home cooking. That's what separates stars from role players. Stars can play in any gym. Role players typically shine when they are at home. Sohan, yesterday on the road was bad. David Jones Garcia came down to earth. It was fun to watch him over the weekend blossom and have his best outing ever as an NBA player. Came down to earth yesterday, 0 points yesterday. But the story of David Jones Garcia, to me, reminds me of the story that we had back in the day of Jonathan Simmons, where Jonathan Simmons came into the league, was not supposed to be in the league, busted his ass in the G League, made his way in there, got into the lineup, and then started to shine once he got there, right? Once he just got the chance. You need to have injuries happen. You need to have Pop's hand forced to play him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But David Jones Garcia, what a fantastic story he has become. And I'm just looking at him play, and I'm thinking to myself, scorers know how to score.
Mm-hmm.
Shooters know how to shoot. What does Keldon do? He scores. He's a scorer, right? That's his skill set. What does David Jones Garcia do? He's a scorer. You put him in there. You put him in there to score, right? You don't put him there to pass or whatever. And that's the thing about Sohan, though, is that like they're doing him dirty because they don't know where to play him. Because it's kind of like they want more out of him, but it ain't there. So let's let him focus on what he does well. But David Jones Garcia, what are your thoughts on him having a breakout game over the weekend?
You just said it. I love to see guys when you see guys. I had the fortune of playing in that league. It is a grind. They've done a lot to uplift that league, get it a little bit better than it was back when I played the Stone Ages when they were just starting it, right? But it's a grind. You have players that are on your same team that are coming down to practice with you, that have the NBA contracts, that have the NBA systems, the schemes, and you are staying in an apartment. You might be staying in a 2-bedroom, and there might be 3 guys, 4 guys in that, depending on which team you're on. Yes, if you're going across the country, you're flying, but hey, you're staying in Texas. You might be driving, depending. You might be on the buses. And just the grind and knowing that your team composition can change at any moment and you've got to shine, right? You've got to continue to shine. And even then, we've seen plenty of guys that have averaged 20, led their team in scoring in that same league. They get 10-day, they get a summer league team, and then they're back in the G League trying that next year. So anytime you've got a guy that's on a team, whether it's a 2-way contract or whether they get signed fully, I know Mavs have some guys, but I love it. And then you get to hear about their story. You get to see the full story of what they went through, even just in life to get to that point. And when you get a chance, having the moment not be too big for them, right? You got to understand they're playing in front of like 2,000-3,000 sometimes. And then you're in 17,000.
Right.
The floor rocks when people get it's a difference, right? And to have that moment not be too big, and to your point, you see their skill level be able to come out. It's a beautiful thing.
The degree of difficulty it must be, though, to be on the bench the entire game sometimes, and be brought in because, we're throwing crap against the wall to see what sticks because we need a spark plug. But your happy ass has been been sitting down for 2 hours. We're midway through the third quarter. You haven't taken a practice shot in 2 hours, and then go out there and be like, okay, now go shoot some threes. How difficult is it to get back into that rhythm when your body's cold and everyone else has been playing?
And I'll add in, last year he was a starter where he was, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think like mentality is different. You knew before you could go in and let the game come to you because you were going to be on the court. He knows when he touches that floor, if he's not making a difference, he's coming back out.
Mm-hmm.
It is super tough. You've got to stay engaged in the game at all points. Down 15-20, up 15-20, close game. You have to be thinking, all right, coach is going to look my way. He's going to call me, and I have to go in and do what I know I can do. And it is much easier if you've got 15 minutes before and you're in a rhythm and you're sweating and you're going. It is much easier to step out on that court and be effective. I used to have guys, and you'll see it on some teams still. You see it with a lot of the starters more so because they know they go do stuff in the tunnel. They try to stay engaged that way. They keep their body loose with all the wraps. A lot of people think they put ice on during the games. I'm like, no, those are heating pads. They're just trying to keep their body nice and loose because they know, when they go out there, they don't want it to slow down or cramp up on them. It is tough to be put in those situations. And when you think about scores, that is what they're expected to do. And a lot of guys need to touch the ball, right? And
You need to feel
you're
the
playing
ball
out there. You have to feel it, right? And people don't know, you practice with balls that are weathered in, worn in and stuff. Game time, they're giving you a ball that they don't play with brand new balls, but it has not been worn in because they want it to look good on TV. So it's a different feel in your hand. Take some sweat to kind of get it to stick a little bit. And you've got to know all that. And as soon as it hits you literally can be on the floor for 10 seconds and it hits your hand and they're expecting that shot up. It's tough.
Someone putting the shots up right now. I'm looking at the stats right now of Devin Vassell. Spurs fans, at least Spurs Twitter, is getting down on him right now. He's been with the Spurs for now 6 seasons. 25 years old, just 25. His three-point accuracy is basically where his career average is. So a lot of Spurs fans are making it sound like he is shooting poorly, but for the season, he's at 36.4%. He's a career 36.8. He's doing what he normally does. The volume's up. He's averaging 7 3-point attempts per game. EFG of just over 51% or 51%. He's not having a good season. Not having a great season. Not having a bad season. But I think the problem with Devin Vassell is the degree of difficulty of the shots that he's taking. It's like his shot selection has gone to crap. Like he should have a higher percentage, but he's playing hero ball a little bit too much out there. Like, do what I want to see. Like when Champagny shoots or Harrison Barnes shoots, it's straight up, and every rhythm is the same, right? It's catch, shoot, catch, shoot. Devin Vassell seems to want to be shooting to his left or to his right, but never straight up, and it's freaking me out because he's always had a little bit of craziness to his shot, but it's almost like he wants to like he's being judged by an Olympic panel. Like he wants the degree of difficulty to be higher. Do you see the same thing I'm seeing when it comes to Devin Vassell?
What I see is him pressing a little bit, right? And I think part of it boils down to is he is supposed to be that second guy scoring wise, right? You've got guys that are up and coming and they're coming. But when you look at his trajectory and how he started making leaps and getting better every year, people expected him maybe not to get into that upper echelon of top shooting guards in the league, but he's supposed to get somewhere in that all-star-ish level the way that he started off. And he's one of the few Spurs over the last few years that can go get his shot, right? He didn't have to be dependent on somebody spoon-feeding him. But I think he's kind of taken that to heart this year. When you've got a good team, you've got good offense, you can let stuff come to you a little bit more. You can get those open looks, and they can get the shot going. And then in the later stages of the game, third and fourth quarter, when you have to go get a bucket, then those off angle shots, those leaning shots, they're not as difficult. I look at it, and no way am I comparing him to this, but I look at it like a Ray Allen. If you used to watch Ray Allen play, you know his mechanics look the same on almost every shot. But you could tell when he started feeling it a little bit, he start drifting when he'd shoot the three, or he kind of get to the elbow and kind of drift to the side. His mechanics up top still look the same, but he knew he was in that rhythm. And I think sometimes Vassell goes out looking for those shots. It's like, oh, I haven't shot the ball in a couple possessions. Let me go get a bucket now. And sometimes it's needed on teams, but I think with this skill level and the players the Spurs are putting out on the court, it's not needed as much. So it's standing out a little bit more when he does those things. When your team's not as good, you have to take those shots, right? When your team's a little bit better, you're winning games, you don't have to take those shots.
You know, it just seems as though he doesn't know the role that he's supposed to play. You know, it seems as though he played better with Castle holding the ball than Fox. Maybe there's no synergy between Fox and Vassell just yet. Maybe that's part of the problem. Fox has not become a very good facilitator on this team. He's just not. He's becoming a shoot first kind of guy, which is basically what Devin Vassell is. It's almost like you have two Vassells out there or two Foxes out there, and it's just not working. Spurs lost 111 to 102 yesterday to the Phoenix Suns. They were outscored in the second half, 62-46. They lost the turnover battles 19-6. I mean, 19 is not horrific. It's not good. But for the Suns to only have 6 turnovers, now you know why the Spurs lost. They didn't have any takeaways when it came to it all. Spurs are now on the season 11-5. Getting a little bit crazy down the stretch, man. They've got a really feisty Portland team coming up on the road. Then the Spurs are on the road against the Denver Nuggets the day after Thanksgiving. And then on the 30th, they take on the T-Wolves on the road before coming back for one home game. So the Spurs have, again, they had a road game yesterday. That's a 4-game road trip, 1 home game, and then back on the road for 3 road games. So Spurs might be back at 500 soon enough when it comes to it all. Let's talk about some college football on the other side. The Texas Longhorns, Aggies this weekend, going to battle it out for a big spot, right? Because if the Aggies win, more than likely they're going to have a bye in the college football playoff. If the Longhorns win, keeps their playoff hopes alive. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's give some love to P.F. Chang's La Cantera. They sponsor our show, and they power our chat. P.F. Chang's La Cantera.
P.F. Chang's La Cantera, San Antonio's premier destination for dinner, date night, or happy hour. Enjoy one of their signature dishes, such as the Singapore street noodles, sesame chicken, or Chang's spicy chicken, or their infamous Chang's chicken lettuce wraps, which are delicious, by the way. You can enjoy all this while you're dining in an Asian-inspired atmosphere. And make sure to enjoy the new outdoor patio and try some of P.F. Chang's signature cocktails and drinks during happy hour, Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. P.F. Chang's La Cantera is a proud sponsor of the Area 210 podcast.
Our good friend Sean Quintero, one of the big wigs over there at P.F. Chang's La Cantera. Mike, you know him very well. What's your go-to meal over at P.F. Chang's?
So I'm trying to get to the filet. They have the new steak they have. I have not tasted that yet. I have not.
Okay.
So I tell you, I love I always say it wrong. I always want to say like lemon pepper or something, but it's the salt and pepper prawns.
Okay.
If you like shrimp, you have to go try them. They're phenomenal. Part of the reason he said the steak kind of has some of that seasoning in it. I want to try that so bad, but I haven't had a chance. And I'll tell you why. Last time I went over there, we were outside on the patio. Perfect time to be on the patio. And I went over there and I was like, I'm finally trying it today. And they had sold out by the time I got there. So obviously it's popular. But yeah.
I'm pretty basic, man. Get me the chicken lettuce wraps. Get me the kung pao chicken, and just steamed rice, and I'm on my way, man. They also have those craft cocktails going on right now for $8.99. And they happy hour from 3 to 6, but $8.99. You've got the Jade Margarita, you got the Long Island Iced Tea. For those who want to get a little buzz early, right? Lychee Martini. They have the Mule. They have lots of things going on over there. $8.99 from open to close over there. Go visit Sean Quintero over at P.F. Chang's La Cantera. So something happened over the weekend, Mike. Happened yesterday, actually. I got married a couple weeks ago. Happily married
Congrats.
man. Thank you so much. We affectionately know my wife. Her name is Francesca. We know her as Chica around here. And what was funny is that like I know her in a certain way, right? I know her as my girlfriend, my wife. I know her as a mother to her two kids. I know her in a certain way. She goes to church and we go to church together, all that stuff. I know her in a certain way. But her backstory is that she used to play college softball. Okay,
Mm.
so she was a college athlete. She had D1 offers, but she didn't go D1. But she has that background, right? So I don't know her as an athlete, right? But that's the lore behind her because I see the photos at her mom's house, right? So we went to her niece's softball game. Her niece is in high school. It's one of those travel sports, right, where they travel all over the state and all over the country to play games. And I'm there with my wife watching her niece play. Her niece plays catcher also, so Chica was a catcher.
Hmm.
I was getting more and more excited and turned on hearing her talk sports yesterday because she was there going, "You got a pitcher inside and high. Look how she's standing. High and outside, low and outside, knee and outside. Basically she was like Tony Romo out there predicting what was coming up next or what should happen next. And she goes, look the way here she's standing. She's standing too tall. She has no power. Bring everybody in. And I was just looking at her going, I've never heard her talk sports in my entire life. But man, she was on point when it came to it all. She knew exactly what was going to happen before it ever happened. And am I wrong for getting excited about that? Look at her in a more affectionate way.
Absolutely not. I tell people in my house, my wife is the most competitive person I know. When she doesn't have an interest in sports, she's not sitting around watching it, whatever the case may be. We went to a parent child school event, school game, right? And you're supposed to be out there, and the parents, you're going to go out there, you're going to have fun. And they decided they wanted to play a version of flag football, right?
Yeah.
And she was in the backfield, and they said, hey, we're going to run this play. We're just going to toss it to you, kind of go down the sideline. One of the kids grabs your flag. It's good. Take it, stop right there. We'll stop the play. Come set everybody up. They swung that to her. Now, mind you, she was a cheerleader at UTSA. Shout out to the Roadrunners.
Yeah.
And very, very athletic. She got that pitch. She got it and turned the corner on the sideline and turned on the Jets and even made a move around one kid. And then when the next kid reached the hand out to grab the flag, she kind of made it like she was running, but kind of stiff armed the kid a little bit.
Yeah.
And went and scored. And I tell you, like, the parent side of me was like, hey, you can't do that. But the partner side, the man side of me was like, where has this come from? Why hadn't I never seen this before? Made me feel so much better about her as a person. I was like, I picked the right one.
Yeah. I was hearing her trash talk. Like when somebody got picked off, she's like, got her. She was, she was just going off on it all. And she was telling me, I was like, well, tell me about your days. Like, were you a good hitter? She was like, babe, I used to crank them. Hitter. And I was like, she goes, I used to go yard. And now I'm thinking to myself, I want to take her to the batting cages, but now I'm afraid to out hit me out there.
Yeah.
She used to go, I used to hit it 250, 240. I used to crank it.
Yeah.
It was so funny, man. But she was just talking. She was like, yeah, everyone's really nice to everybody and a sportsman-like. She goes, back in the day, we used to just like talk trash to the batter. We used to say this, that, and the other, but it was funny, man. Speaking of talking trash, the quarterback of East Carolina was talking trash about UTSA. There's an ongoing conspiracy that UTSA pipes in noise at the Alamo Dome. That's what other coaches have said about UTSA. That's what now players are saying about it. East Carolina, who was one of the better teams in the American Athletic Conference, upset that they lost, right? UTSA now bowl eligible after beating the living crap out of the Pirates. Your thoughts on UTSA coming back from the brink, man, because it was looking bleak for UTSA. Now they're bowl eligible. They have a big game this weekend against Army, which is a big pageantry game for San Antonio because we are Military City, USA. We have Fort Sam Houston. We have other depots in the area. Home, Fort Hood is just down the road. All that stuff. But UTSA came from the brink. But then now you have these opponents who leave the Alamo Dome convinced that UTSA is cheating. What are your thoughts on all that?
If you hadn't been caught yet, keep it going. It's working. Um, I love anytime a San Antonio school is doing well, right? Because people, I feel like we're the city that's not thought of the most, especially sports wise. You think of Dallas and Houston, and we've got a lot of talent here in and around the city, and then we're recruiting great talent to come to San Antonio at that at the collegiate level. And so I'm always happy anytime the team's doing good. And it speaks to something that you said earlier with the culture that they've built here at UTSA. A bad culture, that team folds, right? That coaching
Right.
staff is planning ahead. Good culture, and they're like, no, there's still some work we can do this year. We can still get better this year, and you can see it, right? And you saw the flashes, the elements, even when they were losing the games. Certain guys being able to play well, running the ball. When those guys get out in space, I forget the name of the back. When he gets out in space, he's dynamic. I mean, anytime he gets it going, he can take it to the house. But continuing that, not putting their heads down, not saying, okay, this is over, but continuing to play and getting some big wins. And I mean, and if some extra noise is helping them here or there, I say better for them. I don't know if they are pumping it in there.
Prove
But
it.
I do know that, and I mean, coaches have been saying, you hear that sometimes at the pro level, right? Get ready for it. Pump in some extra music when you're doing practice during the week, and then come on down and lose to the Roadrunners.
Joined by Mike Mitchell Jr., son of former Spurs great Mike Mitchell. Rafa coming out and saying UTSA is undefeated with their black uniforms. Is there something to be said about being superstitious when it comes to the uniforms? The black uniforms, they play different.
I'm a very superstitious man. Can't help it. I think it's part of sports. If you wear socks and you win, you're wearing those socks the rest of the season. If you wear some shorts under your shorts and you win, I remember people made a big deal when Jordan said he used to wear his North Carolina shorts under his uniform, and I'm like, if you're making a big deal, you don't know sports, because there's half of the guys. Some guys don't wash things until they lose in it, and you talk about sitting next to a guy that's been wearing some of the same stuff week after week because they win, and you'll get to the point where it'll smell terrible, but you'll be like, you got to keep them on because we're winning. There's something to be said about playing and attitudes in certain uniforms. I'm always nervous because you're like, don't bring them out too much. But at the same time, when you're winning in those colors, you got to roll with it.
UTSA 6.5-point favorites Saturday afternoon on ESPN against Army. Army coming in at 5-5. And speaking of spreads, who would you have if you were the Vegas odds maker, Mike, between Texas and Texas A&M? They're playing at DKR in Austin. Aggies coming in third ranked, 11-0. UT, the home team, Bevo, 100,000 UT fans. This is not the Red River rivalry where half is wearing the OU maroon and half burnt orange. This is a home game for UT. Would you have had A&M favored, or would you have had UT favored in this game?
Up until about 3 weeks ago, I would have definitely had A&M favored in this game. I did not believe in the Arch Manning hype. Correction, I did believe in it in the past. I did not believe in it after this season started. What he's shown more recently, if you give him time, and he can buy time with his feet, and the offense seems a little bit simpler, get out there and throw the ball, they are formidable. And then the A&M Aggies have shown recently, they're still one of the top teams in the country, but they've shown a little kinks in the armor, right? Games have gone on, and guys have hung in with them a little bit longer than I thought. But we look at the conference they're playing in SEC, so the 3 and 6 teams in there are still very good teams when you start comparing them to the rest of the country. Can I say if Arch plays well, but it's like, yeah, if the quarterback plays well, typically have a good chance of winning. But if he can limit his turnovers, whether it's a fumble or interception, I don't think he can throw 2 picks. Maybe one, and if he can get it going to his receivers, he doesn't have to have the greatest completion percentage because he hits, what is he, like 12 completions for 300 yards or something ridiculous. If they can do that, I think there'll be enough. I think it'll be enough in Austin.
Now, Aggies are favored by 2.5 on the road in Austin.
Mm.
Longhorns won 52-37 over the weekend to Arkansas. It was a huge day for Arch Manning. It was a career day for him. 5 total touchdowns, 4 in the air, 1 on the ground, threw for 389 yards, rushed for a touchdown as well. Okay, how do I say this without being a hater? The dude's elite against scrub teams.
Mm.
I mean, against scrub teams, he's got that Dak Prescott in him. And I hate to say that because Prescott came off as a good victory. Had they lost to the Eagles, it would have hit a little bit differently. But Dak Prescott has his biggest games against bad teams. And against good teams, he's not as good, right? And we've seen what Arch Manning did against a defense that was from Ohio State, against a defense from, Georgia. He just folds. Give him an elite defense, he folds. This is going to be a defining moment for him because if you look at his stats when he's playing against just scrub teams or mediocre teams, I mean, he blew up against Sam Houston. Wow, right? Mm-hmm. It's just so weird. I look at Arch Manning and I think to myself, this is a moment for him to prove himself. Because if your big victory is Vanderbilt, it's an Ivy. Come on, man. I look at it as though A&M has a lot to prove because now you have that rivalry back between Texas and Texas A&M. The way God intended football to be played in Texas, you have that rivalry now. Even if it's every other year, I'm happy about it. But both have something to play for. This is going to be the most exciting game of the year for me in college football because you have UT fighting for their playoffs. Because, again, a lot of people don't think that they're going to get in if they have 3 losses. I'm letting everybody know. I don't care if they win an ugly game 6-5. They win this game, they're in the playoffs. Personal opinion. They lose this game, though. The Aggies are on a historic run, and both teams have something to play for. And I think it's going to be one hell of a game there. Mike, who do you got in this game?
On the spot, I'm gonna say Longhorns. I think the Aggies have the defense, like you said, that Texas hasn't played. My gut is telling me that A&M is a better team this year, but I think Texas is going to keep it close enough to make a big play in the fourth quarter.
That was a very R. Kelly answer. My mind is telling me no, but my body. Okay, so let's see who A&M is beating. Okay, let's take a trip around the block here on A&M. Again, not a lot of teams can go 11-0. They beat UTSA. They beat Utah State. On the road, they beat Notre Dame, who is a top 10 team who's going to make the playoffs. They beat them 41-40. Big win there. They beat a bad Auburn team. They beat a bad Mississippi State team. They beat the Florida team that Texas beat. They beat a bad Arkansas team. They beat a team in LSU that was, getting rid of their coach. They beat South Carolina. They beat Missouri on the road. Missouri's a decent team. And then they beat South Carolina barely. They were down they were down 30-0 at one point, right? And then they beat Samford. All I'm saying is that it is difficult to go 11-0 no matter what schedule you have. So they should be commended for that. But I don't want to act like they went through murderer's row because UT played Ohio State. They lost, but they played Ohio State. UT played Georgia. They lost, but they played Georgia. 2 of the top 4 teams in the college football. I'm gonna hold my nose when making this prediction, but I think UT is going to win this game, and I think it's going to make it difficult for these committees to look at Utah and go, guess who we're going to take? We're going to take Utah over UT. We're going to take, Miami over UT. No, you're not. No, you're not. UT wins this game. They're in. They're in. We're joined by Mike Mitchell Jr. I know you have a lot going on in your world. We were talking about Thanksgiving. United Way, you work for United Way. What do you guys got going on right now? How can we take part in what you've got going on?
We've got Project Warmth going on. We just finished gathering a whole bunch of coats in and out the community to give back to families at this time when the weather's changing. That we know they can't always go out and be able to afford those coats. Similarly, we've got a few other events that we're hosting, both in our Dual Generation Initiative as well as our Hopes Initiative for families. So we're having some Christmas events for people to come out and enjoy some hot cocoa, some cookies, the Grinch, Santa, be able to have some great photo ops, and try to hopefully build some great memories around the Christmas time because we know it's difficult for some families in our community. So right now, it's a lot about kind of shifting. Changing from trying to go out in the community and either work with partners or work with families to kind of set things up for this holiday season, and then we'll get back in the full swing of things in January. I telling people earlier I was off at a conference all last week, so I'm just trying to get my head straight for Thanksgiving, get back acclimated to work. But our website always has everything we have going on. uwsatx.org. And you go to that website and you can find anything that we have going on. If you're looking to give back, I know a lot of the different events we have kind of closed down, volunteer opportunities right now, but they'll pick right back up. And like I said, everything is found right on our website. If you want to get involved and figure out ways to help you out, it's a great start.
Very nice, very nice. Before we let you go, Thanksgiving along the way, we were talking before the show started that we're doing an unconventional one here on Wednesday in Conroe. Going to do the traditional Thanksgiving in San Antonio on Thursday. What is your go-to side?
Oh, so I like yams would be my go-to side. So
The
you take
sweet
that,
yams?
you take the sweet potato, you cut it up, and I say it transforms from a sweet potato to a yam with what you put in it, right? So
The cinnamon and
my
sugar? Is that what you're adding to it?
cinnamon, sugar, butter, different kinds of. So I throw in the brown sugar,
There you
regular
go.
sugar. It just whatever you're feeling that morning. If it's sweet enough to go in there and make it better, if it's not candying around the side, if it's not coagulating, if it's not forming a crust on the edges, then you didn't put enough stuff in it. Sweeten it up a little bit more. I used to have it as dessert sometimes as a kid. That's how sweet it was. I'd put some ice cream in the bowl with the yams and have it, but that's definitely my go-to side.
Very nice. Your dad, Mike Mitchell, was a Spurs great for many years. I truly believe his jersey, number 34, belongs on the rafters. He was a great player for the Spurs for many, many years. Uh, what were the holidays like when you had an NBA father?
So my dad loved the holidays, and you've got to imagine. Go with me on this for a second. He came up, in Atlanta, inner city, didn't have a lot of resources. So then he's an NBA player. He's got a son coming up. He's got other children. We got, my sister in the house, and he's got resources now. And he loves the holidays, but he could never go out and get things that he wanted growing up. So I used to tell people I turn in my Christmas list, and it might have a few things on it, Legos. Back then, they had these little cars, micro machines, or something like that. Christmas Day, I'll never forget. I woke up one time. There was a four-wheeler in the house. There was all kind of clothes and different things. And it wasn't until we got older I said, Dad, like I used to have the smallest list, and why? And he said, because I wanted the world for you and your sister. And he goes, but I'm gonna be honest too, that was my funnest time of the year. Like being able to go shop and do these things and come back and Christmas lights. I mean, we have lights all in and around the house. We were that house that had the deer and sleigh out in front before it was popular and people were competing with each other in
Yeah.
our neighborhood. So I mean, he just loved Christmas so much. Back then, they didn't have the nationally televised game, so it was one of the few times that we knew that he was going to get to be off and be at home with us. So it was just a wonderful time, and he started cooking as the years went on. So my mom used to hate because she's cooking most of the days, and then he'd cook one dish for Christmas or two dishes, and me and my sister would swoon over and swear it's the best food we ever had. But it was definitely those are some of my best memories, family memories, are the holiday seasons growing up with, and it was mainly because of my dad.
That's a great story. What's your go-to dessert for Thanksgiving? And did your dad have a favorite?
My dad loved sweet potato pie. His mom used to make them, and they were wonderful. Um, he could tell the difference just by looking. I know some people can taste the difference in pumpkin and sweet potato. I can't. I have to taste it, but he could look at them and be like, "Nope, I want the sweet potato." It was a big thing for him. Mine is I'm so simple. I have developed a sweet tooth recently, but I want some fresh baked chocolate chip cookies. I want them warm.
Mhm.
I don't do the milk anymore because of the lactose. If you get older, you know what I mean. But some sweet, warm chocolate chip cookies. I mean, I'm sold.
My favorite thing about holidays is it's the one time of the year that my dad and I will play dominoes.
Mm.
I'm blessed to still have my dad with me, 83 years old, strong.
Mm.
I've never beaten him in dominoes one time in my entire life, and there was one time and I have a photo of this. It's one of my favorite photos. I was so close to beating my dad. Like I got to the point where I even had people gather around to take photos, and my dad had this epic comeback to beat me at the end. I mean, he was down for the count and came back to beat me. So the photo is of me doing this, just double face palm. Of it. It's one of my favorite photos. I thought for once I was going to beat him. It's kind of like like some people can't beat their dad at basketball. They can't beat their dad at whatever. I can't beat my dad at dominoes to save my life. Play him 100 times, I'll lose every single time. Uh, I I have a sweet tooth also when it comes to it all, which means that I have to go for a run or something before we eat. I had to do at least 3 or 4 miles in there so I can justify the tryptophan that I'm going to have with all the turkey I'm going to have. Dude, there's something to be said about stuffing. I don't know why I love it so much. I
Mm.
just do. Mashed potatoes. I'm all about the sides. I mean, the dark meat's fine, but give me the sides. And I want pumpkin pie
Mhm.
or sweet potatoes, fine. But I want pumpkin pie and I want a mountain of Cool Whip on it. Just just a mountain of Cool Whip on it. And I get excited for that, and then I'm going to gain some weight. I can't gain weight. I'm going to be on the beach in 3 weeks. I can't gain weight. I've already lost weight. I've got to maintain, baby. Got to maintain. But man, it's been fun having you on, man. You are more than welcome to come on whenever you want. You don't even have to ask. Just say, dude, I'm on. I'm on. And for those asking the question about Joe, Joe's going to be out today, and he was out. He might be out tomorrow. I'm not sure. But he had a death in the family, and he needs to attend to all that. And it's a very sad thing. And, so my condolences to Joe and his family at this time right now. I know it was something that had been going on for a while, so it's not necessarily a surprise, but when it does happen, it is a very, very sad thing. But holiday season's up and around. I'm proud to say that my wife and I are done with 90% of our Christmas shopping.
Mm.
90%, and the remaining 10% we're getting done today. We will be done by Thanksgiving. I think what we're going to do this week is we're going to gift wrap everything and take it to San Antonio and drop it onto the Christmas trees over
Mm.
there and be done with it because we don't want to do any shopping in December. Got any Black Friday deals you're looking for?
I am switching out some of my electronics, so I'm changing out my iPad. I was trying to catch some Black Friday deals on the Apple doesn't give us good enough deals. Somebody needs to get over there and talk to Apple and let them know it's the holiday season. They need to drop their prices a little bit better. I hate sometimes that I got into the ecosystem. But yeah, I'm doing that, and I'm only about 50% done with my Christmas shopping. I try to get mine ahead. My wife will be buying gifts all the way up until Christmas.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let me just do mine, get it out of the way. But I'm a little bit behind this year, so I'm envying you right now. I wish I was done.
Well, we bought our adult kids a trip to Cancun. So we're,
Oh,
we're all inclusive. We're gonna go there. We got the flight, we got the trip and all that. They know about it. And we said, this is your Christmas gift. Don't ask for anything else. And guess what we're doing? We're buying them more gifts. Chica's son wants a 3D printer, and I'm there going, how much is that? But in order for me to do that, guess what I need to do? I need to make more money. So if you all have any questions about financial services, I am an investor, financial advisor. I am securities licensed. I do investments, insurances, life insurance, long-term care, all that stuff. Give me a call. Let me see if Joe has it on here. Let's see, 210-508-0369, 210-508-0369. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. Oh, look, call Mike. There it is. Give Mike. Does it show? No, it doesn't show. Dang it. Anyway, give me a call, 210-508-0369. Thank you to everybody over at Pia Chang's La Cantera for hosting or for being today's sponsor. They've been sponsoring us for a while. They do a fantastic job. Go have lunch and go hang out with Sean Quintero over there. He's a good guy. I've known Sean since I was 14 years old, man. Since I was 14. Believe it or not, Sean had good handles back in the day. He had good point guard skills back in the day.
Okay.
We would play, Mike, the 6'2" and under leagues, and we held our own pretty well. But the problem is we started playing leagues that didn't have 6'2" and under provisions, and we sucked. I'll tell you I'll end the show by telling you the most embarrassing experience I ever had in my entire life playing basketball. I went to Texas State, and I was a pretty decent basketball player for my height. I'm 5'7", 5'8". I was 5'8" at the time. I've gotten shrunk to 5'7" over the years. We played an intramural game against players from the actual team at Texas State. So it was sad that they were playing intramurals. That's not for the actual athletes on the team, but they were playing anyway. And they shot 100% against us that game. They were just dunking it on us like crazy, right? Just alley-oop, 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 alley-oop. But fourth quarter rolls around, and we're still in the game because my friend George and I went off, and we were shooting three-pointers at a clip that we had never shot three-pointers in our entire lives. We were shooting. Our EFG was high, okay? So we kept up with them, and they were getting kind of pissed that we were still in the game just because me and George were just going off. I decided I was tired of getting dunked on. And on a fast break, they stole the ball. I decided I was going to just jump in front of them, just do something. I jumped up before the player to try to block him, and I palmed the ball. And then he took off. And he carried my ass to the rim. I literally held onto the ball, and he launched, and I went up, palmed it, and then continued going higher as he took me to the rim, shook me off, and laid it up. And I fell back first. Just the ball bounced, and the crowd just erupted. It was the most embarrassing moment of my entire life. That guy was probably about 6'7", 6'8", who did that to me. He's a foot taller than me and probably outweighed me, because at that time I probably weighed about $150, $160, right? He carried my happy ass to the rim. Now, had he dunked it, I think my life would have ended at that point. And let's just say they went on a 20-0 run to end the game, and it was the most embarrassing experience I've ever had on a basketball court in my entire life. People don't believe that it happened because they don't think it's possible to do that. But you get a 6'7", 250 guy on a 5'7", 160 guy, he can carry you up. He can defy gravity is what I'm saying.
I'll tell you, there's probably not enough time for my stories, but I'll tell you, there are a few people in San Antonio that have been walking around that teammates may have said the wrong thing to me during a game, and you look for moments like that. There are a few people around San Antonio that'll tell you, yeah, that's true, because Mike Mitchell Jr. has done that to me. Right show, right time will tell you some stories.
Yeah. There's nothing more embarrassing than being just completely dominated on a basketball court. But that is Mike Mitchell Jr. Again, go take part in all the events that they have going on. Give us the website again to the United Way.
uwsatx.org.
Very, very, very nice. If we don't hear from you again, Mike, thank you for being on. And again, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. We love having you on because you are Spurs royalty in many ways. Your dad, I tell it to you every single time, was my favorite basketball player growing up when I was in elementary and middle school. And no lie, dude, the days of Gervin, Banks, Mitchell, Alvin, all of those years were. I mean, I'm a lifelong Spurs fan, and it means a lot to have you on the show because it's kind of like, you and I are basically the same age, and we grew up at the same time in San Antonio, but it's like an extension of my childhood in many, many ways having you on here. So I really appreciate you being on. We love your perspective. We love your takes. You do a fantastic job on podcasts, man. You do an amazing job. Are you on Twitter?
I am not on Twitter. No.
It's a cesspool. I'd avoid it if you could. Very nice. Well, we'll hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. We're going to do a show on Tuesday tomorrow, maybe with Joe. And then I will probably take Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off for the holidays. But everyone have a fantastic day. Go out there, be a good day, have a good day, make some money. And if you want to invest it, give me a call, 210-508-0369. Mike, thanks for being on, man. Appreciate it,
Thank you.
brother.
Yes, sir.